Hello, hello. Welcome to Soccer Talk, brought to you by topfcnews.com. We are live on the website, and of course, you can also listen or watch these shows on demand, either on the website or on all your favorite listening platforms. Again, visit topfcnews.com. We're Laurent Cortine, man. What's up? What's happening? How are
Hey,
things
bueno, everything's
in
good,
San
man.
Diego, California? I think you're muted. So,
Warm, hanging in there. I got my Andy Warhol New York Statue of Liberty shirt on today. Just got a fan going. It's a little bit hot in here, but a little discomfort makes you feel good. So
yeah.
Watch the little Women's World Cup. Ready to break those games down.
Yeah, man, it's interesting. How do you think it went as far as the startup? Not a lot of matches really, but just a few. And so
yeah. I mean, I think it went as expected. So the two games were New Zealand versus Norway, Australia versus Republic of Ireland. Big crowds. New Zealand in Auckland, Australia in at home in Australia. So really good raucous crowd, like we talked about last week. That nice different sound of women's voices cheering, and they did a great job. So just fantastic stuff. Both teams faced some adversity. New Zealand being an underdog against Norway, who have a lot of pedigree, with Ada Hedelberg playing in that 4-3-3, and Caroline Graham Hansen, who's a player in Barcelona. So Norway have two great attacking players, but their weaknesses came through. They're really bad in defense, really slow. New Zealand got their goal on the break. Really beautiful goal by Hannah Wilkinson, on 48 late in the second half. We're seeing that same kind of super duper extra time thing going on. Then they also missed a penalty late. Rhea Percival hit the bar on a just straight push in the back. It was pretty incredible. But one thing that was interesting, they did go to VAR, and they had the VAR mic'd up, so you could hear the referee say, "Oh, we went to VAR." She had a little bit of an Asian accent. I think the referee was from Thailand or Singapore or something like that. And she called the penalty, and they missed. But a huge win for New Zealand. Again, we've been looking for upsets within the context of women's football, that other teams are getting better. I don't think this would qualify as that, this New Zealand-Norway. Norway was really poor in the Euros, and they still have the same problem. Their defense is just awful and slow. The buildup was there, but Ada Hedelberg, who had been, one of the best women's player in the world, I think she's the Ballon d'Or winner in 2018 or 2019, I'm not sure, but she sat out for a year protesting for women's equality and just didn't want to go to the World Cup and the Euros, the World Cup previous, not the Euros. And she had knee injuries, something we can talk about after I talk about the Australia game. Just the physiology of women, they have a increased level of knee injuries that we can probably chat about. But Norway will feel really disappointed that they lost this game. XG for them was 0.55, while was just 0.9, while New Zealand's was 1.7. So an expected win, but they did miss a penalty, New Zealand. On the other side, Australia got a penalty. That's where the push in the back was. This was a much more physical game. Republic of Ireland, Australia, really strong women going at it. I really enjoyed the physicality of it. But the big news out of this game was that Sam Kerr, one of the actually number one ranked player in the world, according to ESPN FC's rankings, the number one female player in the world, plays for Chelsea, scores over 20 goals a year. Just an incredible player. She suffered a calf injury in the buildup, missed 2 group games. So Australia absolutely had to have this game. Her replacement played well, and they get the goal from a penalty. Not many shots on target. Australia had the possession, but the Republic of Ireland, very tough, very stout, played a very tight defensive game, hoped that their talisman, Katie McCabe, would find some stuff. She created 4 chances, but not much. There was a late chance for Ireland on free kick on the outside of the box that just went over the bar. But Republic of Ireland, good about how they played. They were probably the underdog in this game, especially with Kerr. But without Kerr, they probably felt they had a shot. But Australia and New Zealand both win, both host nations. get their first game in a big, big moment for both the hosts. And of course, the classic World Cup problem. What's the classic World Cup problem? Everyone says it's a disaster. Everyone says it's falling apart. Everyone says none of the tickets are sold. And then the games start and all the games are sold out.
Yeah,
so,
of course. Well, they gave away some of the tickets, so that's. But again, we talked about it before. It wasn't. I don't think a good idea to bring it there, even though. Well, the strategy is to grow the sport, right? I mean, but I mean, you got to bring butts to seats, or else people don't get paid, and that's the bottom line. So
yeah, I mean, and that's one of the big things. We have a couple teams playing tomorrow that have really wild narratives. Nigeria versus Canada. Canada are one of the favorites. Nigeria have not been paid, I think, in 2 years, or are always fighting with the Nigerian FA for back pay. Canada, of course, a model club. The Philippines playing Switzerland. I'd expect the Philippines to have a very hard time. And then Spain versus Costa Rica. Spain has something called the 15, La Quinceañera, something like that, who tried to go to the FA to fire their coach, and it failed, and they did nothing. Spain was just like, you can have this coach, and he's playing, and there's a slow drip of players coming back to play for Spain, but this is a fractured team that, as much as I love the talent, and they should win just by Barcelona alone, they have a terrible setup where, women's football is in some sense going through some of the good things that men's teams go through. It's just, you don't want to have drama like that going into a World Cup.
Right.
You want to have a little bit more respect for the players, where if 15 players want to get rid of the coach, you might think about getting rid of the coach.
Yeah.
Especially because he's been there since 2015. It's not like it's the first time they hired him. He's been there almost 10 years. So that's some of the things that happen in women's football. And then I think the women, they've got it. The U.S. women, I thought, were playing tomorrow, but
tomorrow at 8 p.m. against Vietnam. That's going to be an easy game, I think. But you never know. However, we have just better players, and we have a really good shot of three-peating, which is unheard of.
God,
unheard of.
Which is probably actually bad.
Well, I mean, hey,
you know what I mean?
At some point, Brazil won, a lot in the 90s.
They didn't win 3 in a row.
No, not 3 in a row, but I mean, almost. I believe 94, 98 was France. I think the year before 94 they won as well, if I'm not mistaken. 2002 they won, so almost. But still, they dominated the era. So, I mean,
they have 6. Is it 6? I think they have 6.
Brazil has 5.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and but still, the U.S. is clearly one of the best, and against Vietnam shouldn't have any problems. Again, I've been saying it, and I keep saying it. I want to see Trinity Rodman, and because she is good, boy, she is good.
Yeah.
And such a young talent
Exciting.
too. So, all right.
Yeah.
Well,
so we're looking forward to all that.
Yep.
But we'll keep touching on these games, and I'm sure as we go along, things will get more and more interesting. We'll have more and more stories. What we want to have is we want upsets. I think there's been this narrative that everything's getting closer, it's getting tighter. But if we have the same 4 clubs in the finals, I think it's going to be a little bit of a problem. I think what the Women's World Cup needs is a Morocco. Right, Morocco made the semifinal in Qatar. A feel-good story, an incredible performance, game after game after game, where they fought tooth and nail and just sort of swept up all the Arab countries with them. Well, that's what we want. We want a New Zealand to go to the semifinals or something like that. That would really sort of grab some energy and sort of show that the game is growing for women around the world.
All right. Well, the next subject, again, we're going to keep in touch with the Women's World Cup. It's really important to keep talking about it. And so now let's move on to the next subject. And I wanted to touch on this because this is debatable, and we've been debating it on the chat a little bit.
Uh-oh.
So MLS All-Stars versus Arsenal got beat like a drum. And really, the question is out there: is this a reality check for the reality check for the MLS? I mean, really, is that the difference between? Because I will say this: if you told me that the MLS players play with everything in their souls, and that Arsenal are chilling, preseason, I would believe it. I really would. So,
well, here's the thing: if you listen to the Rooney interview, who coached the team,
yeah.
there was a question that he was asked: "Did you learn anything in your young coaching career about this game?" And he sort of laughed and said, "Absolutely nothing," because then he explained that the players came in 2 days before, they did some small-sided games, and then they just played some head tennis. And he just said, "Gone out there." So there's no cohesion.
Do you think he did that? Do you think he did that because he knew that it was pointless? I mean, he's playing the Premier League. He knows about this. He's played a top football before, and so maybe he was like,
"Yeah, but I don't think the MLS takes losing."
You defend the MLS
games.
a lot. I see that, and I wouldn't expect you to. I really wouldn't.
No, I'm not. I'm not defending the MLS. I just think this is not the place to judge them. Is an all-star game exposition.
What? I mean, where else
against Arsenal, who've been practicing for a few weeks and already have cohesion with each other.
Where else could you really judge this? They're not going to play again until next year. Some other team that's going to come do the preseason in the US.
I think where the MLS gets judged, to me, is
5-0. That's a
CONCACAF Champions League.
Well,
CONCACAF Nations League, not Nations League, the Leagues Cup, when it is a competition going against the top clubs in Mexico, that is where the MLS has to focus.
I mean,
win the Champions League every year. Be better than Atlas. Be better
the CONCACAF champions.
Yes, over and over again.
I mean, that could be, but I mean, we saw that LA lost against Lyon, so badly actually. I think one of the guys in the group, was commenting.
It needs to mean more. It needs the levels. Like MLS can't start thinking about Europe and thinking about if it's better than the championship, if it's better than Wrexham. It's not. It needs to be the best. You
don't think this team could have beat Wrexham?
No chance.
They lost 5-0 to Chelsea now. The same loss.
No, I don't, and it's and you know this as well as I do.
You don't think not one team the MLS can beat? Now this All-Star cannot beat.
No. This All-Star team with this context could not. If it was a unit that was practicing and they were playing together and they were in the championship, they would be a good team, right? Like Christian Benteke is clearly an above the National League level striker. If he was in that league, you would expect him to score 25 to 30 goals, right? So Christian Benteke was the striker for the MLS All-Stars. What I'm saying is, in the context of a team coming together for an exhibition against a top-level side, even though Arsenal, we're playing the kids, those players have been practicing together. They're getting ready. I mean, Declan Rice came in, Nketiah, Gabriel Jesus, all those guys. I mean, those players are top level players. They would immediately be the best players in MLS by a lot, right? Like not even close, aside from Messi, right? But Messi's 35 and doesn't run as much as I love him, and he's still the best. He's not what he was, right?
It's okay, man.
So I don't think that this game is where you judge MLS, is all I'm saying. I have plenty of beef with MLS. I will shit on them until the cows come home, because I just think football is a game that requires intensity to be at its best. And without the stakes, with being something to play for, something to win, something that is existential for your club, like relegation or a chance at a Champions League or whatever, you're always going to be that 5% less than is needed to make for good football. And that's why, as a person, why we loved Wrexham, I think why I love the championship. It's not good football. It's because they play to the death, right? It's life or death.
Yeah, I mean, that's South American type football. But regardless, I mean, so you're saying that's all attitude. That's part of the game. So, basically you're saying that the MLS, the best players in the MLS could compete against a championship team in England. That's crazy. And I'm not saying I don't agree with you.
Or can.
No, you're saying that they couldn't. They could not. compete.
This All-Star team could not beat Wrexham in a competitive match. No, because they don't play together. Could LAFC? Yes, if they were playing at their best.
So any MLS team
Yes.
that's well put together would...
Yeah, where you're practicing, when you're in the flow, where you're in the energy. I'm saying an All-Star team with no practice is not going to beat a well-heeled Wrexham that went to war together to the end, went to FA Cup semifinals against Sheffield, where they were a unit, a cohesive unit with their fans behind them, where it matters. The town matters. Everything matters. That team is beating an MLS team any day of the week because Paul Mellon is immediately the best striker in this league, aside from Messi.
Wow.
Maybe.
Well, I mean,
what level? What level is MLS? MLS is what, the 9th level in world football? I think someone did that.
Which is not. I mean, really not bad. I wouldn't think.
No, it's not bad at all.
I mean, if you really think about it, there's 4.
No, 9th is great.
There's 4 or 5 leagues in the world that are all in Europe, and I mean, then you got the Mexican League, South American, Brasileirao. You got Argentinian League, and I mean, you could put the MLS right there.
The issue with MLS is not the top level talent. The top level talent is great. It's the middle. It's that 8th, 9th, and 10th player on the team. I love Dax McCarty. He's a great all-time MLS player. He should not be playing top-level men's football. The guy spent his whole life in MLS, probably making $100,000 a year. He's never been a DP. He's a college player. He's not good. Another guy, Laurentowicz, who's been on every single club in MLS. That is not a top-level player. He's good in the MLS. Kyle Beckerman, these types of water carrier defensive midfielders where money's never spent. Those guys in MLS are laughable compared to a central defender that plays, a central midfielder, holding midfielders in other leagues. It's those spaces, those non-glamorous positions that no one really wants to talk about. In MLS, those guys are awful. They just get run past. They can't foul anyone. Their passes are late. Everything's slow. It's that engine room in MLS is awful relative to the rest of the world.
All right. Well, the MLS just doesn't compete according to Laurent, and it's okay. I mean, we got a few people that are going to watch this and going to be upset in the group, especially those LFC followers. They go hard at you, man.
Yeah.
They go hard.
Who's the holding midfielder for that team? That can play.
You're talking to the wrong guy. I mean, you're talking to the wrong
exactly. Me too. I don't know who he is because he's not an important player.
I know Vela, and
yeah,
that's about it. So we do inside U.S. soccer here, and we sometimes give out news, but we talk about news. As far as analyzing the MLS, it's pretty hard because, Messi's got 9-10 games left, and then he won't play for another 10 years, and so and then he'll be back. He'll be 60, and by the time MLS starts again, so it's a difficult league to understand. I know we live here and we have to support it. I support St. Louis now because we got a team, but it's just about
they're good.
And it's incredible, but it's only in this league can a new team come in and be a champion. That's what it's kind of looking like.
It's completely bizarre.
It's laughable in a sense. And I understand there's a new sport. It's a new sport, but trust me, if they would have done it and not pay attention or not try to copy, they should have tried to copy within your niche who's the best. And European football is the best. So you got to try to emulate those things. But you can't try to copy the sports in America. And you cannot do that because it's not the same thing. You know what I mean? It's not the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, we can get into massive arguments about the problems in US football because they are many.
No, that's true. All right. Well, now the next topic in hand is sorry about that. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up. It helps us a lot. Please consider subscribing if you're on YouTube, and that way we keep growing. And so, all right. So Neymar spoke, and
I saw this.
Pretty blunt, pretty to the point. He said, amongst many things, I'm going to keep reading as I get your take on this. But
Yeah, I
he
saw it.
basically said that, I mean, Mbappe himself and Messi were among the best players in the world, but they just simply they couldn't play together, and that's a pretty tough statement. And also, he said that he is happy that Messi went to Inter Miami and left PSG because he wasn't treated right at Paris. Now, Mbappe said the same thing. Mbappe said the same thing before. So, what do you think about this, man? Neymar, he's ready to go according to these statements. I mean, he does not care.
Listen, here's what we know, right? Those are three that football requires sacrifice. Football requires players to fulfill roles and do jobs. And the way that PSG was set up, especially after they got Messi, they did not have someone in the front between those three who wanted to run for the other. Neymar doesn't want to press, Messi doesn't want to press, and Mbappe doesn't want to press. They all want to be on the end of the ball or setting it up. And when you have those three playing together, getting in each other's spaces, calling for the ball, being in places that are not where they want to be, it doesn't work. 2 out of 3, not 3 out of 3. You could have taken Messi and played him deeper and let one of them be on the wing. But one of them was always going to be in the wrong position, and one of them was never going to be happy. It was all fun and games when they were up big and they could just run rampant through the French league. And even then, they lost a league, right? To Lille a couple seasons ago.
I mean,
even
honestly,
then,
though, if you really think about it, if you just put their just place them on the pitch, it doesn't make sense because you put Mbappe in the middle, then Messi on the right, and
but he doesn't. But Mbappe wants to play in that.
He wants to play that, but
right?
and that's
he
why
wants to cut inside. Yes.
However, I mean, you have to do what you got to do because now he goes to Real Madrid. He is not. We made a video on the YouTube channel about this. He's not going to take Vinicius Junior's spot, so he's going to have to get adjusted.
He's going to have to play in the 9. Yes,
and
that's going to be a problem for them again, right? Because he's not a hold-up player. He's not going to, with his back to goal, play it out wide and then run back in. He wants to be out wide where Vinny is. He wants to do the same job as Vinny.
But it's understandable. He wants to have open space and just because nobody can outrun him. Nobody can outrun him.
No.
And once he's gone, he's gone. So he has the leverage.
This is the issue. He's got to grow up, right? That was the great thing about Benzema. Benzema did all the running for Ronaldo. And he had those 10 years of being in the right space, laying the ball off, being that wall pass. Mbappe can still be that and still be loved and still be cherished and still be a great player. He just has to give a little bit up. One of them, somebody has to. And I think that was the issue with PSG. No one was giving anything up. And anytime a coach tried to call any of them to the mat or say, hey, I need you to give something up, they would go around him and go right to the chairman. And that's how all those coaches get fired. And that's why that team doesn't function. And that's why they're out in quarterfinals. And the only time they ever didn't do that is Tuchel. Tuchel was like, Neymar, you do what I tell you to do or you won't play. And they forced him out and he left, right? So people shit on me about Tuchel. Tuchel's the only guy who tried to take that team on. You cannot play football at top level and have it be 7 on 10, right? They were giving up 3 players who did not work. And none of them were ever going to give it up because they're too big of egos. And to me, it would have been Neymar to go. They should have never signed Messi, ever. He never fit, ever. And that's why the fans didn't love him, because they knew intrinsically he shouldn't have been at their club. Fans know. Supporters as a group have a sense of just like, this shit ain't right. Messi should have never, ever gone to PSG. He should have been at Barca the whole time. And that's why he cried. And that's why he tried to go back. He had this furlough now. He's going to wander these last few years because I think we all know inside that he should never, ever have left Barca. And he got almost too big for the club and they paid him too much. And then everything fell apart because who knew the pandemic was going to come? And that's why his wage structure was broken and he had to leave. So very strange. Now, Tebas is the worst run. Tebas runs the La Liga like a clown show. Who does that and ruins their own clubs in their own league? I don't understand it. Anyway, carry on.
But it is now they came back to training, Neymar, Mbappe, and everybody else,
Mhm.
and I mean, the ROS says that he won't. Mbappe will leave by the end of August.
Mhm.
I honestly don't think it's really possible because he doesn't want to give away money, and obviously he's going to have to because Real Madrid is not going to pay for all that money, and also PSG and Neymar on the other hand that spoke, you know, he really is in a tough situation because Barcelona didn't want him. He's trying to leave.
Nobody wants Neymar.
Everybody's trying to leave.
Nobody wants him. He's washed up as that super level player. Like
You think
he's at the point now.
he should join
Yeah, I don't think.
uh what's it called? Inter Miami.
Sorry, I shouldn't say that he's washed up. I just think that we have seen the history of football that hard partying, tricky winger Brasiliano who doesn't take care of themselves, they tend to decline. If you remember Ronaldinho, he kind of
Ronaldinho, yeah.
sputtered around towards the end, and you remember R9, he got hurt and kind of faded very quickly through injury. But part of that injury is the style of play. They kind of break down, especially he started so early, right? He's 17 years old, winning the Copa Libertadores. So it's a lot of mileage. It's a lot of mental mileage.
He's been playing for a long time.
Biggest clubs in the world. Yeah, yeah. But if you look at the numbers, he's declined almost every year for the last 5. So it's not, I'm not trying to like say something that isn't true. You just look it up. Like it's there. His contributions, minutes, everything is declined. He had one season where he was a little bit better, but he seems to be in decline, getting hurt at the wrong time, in the wrong place. And right now, the way world football is, and I think that, we can probably start getting into these transfer rumors, is there's a separation that's happening from the sort of super clubs and the Premier League. Let's sort of say the Premier League and PSG and Barca and Real, they're sort of in this other place. And the rest of football, there's simply nowhere for someone like Neymar to go. I think historically, this would be the moment where he might go to Juve. This would be the moment where he might sort of go down a rank and kind of go to Spurs or go within La Liga. Maybe he's at Valencia or something like that, where historically one of these lesser clubs that doesn't have the financial amount but has the pedigree and the history to carry a player like that, where they can go, hey, we know you're at the end, come play with us. Or he can go to a Marseille, one of these sort of bigger clubs, but not in the money club. He can go to those clubs and do that. Those clubs are now gone because they simply don't have the revenue to hang with these types of players anymore. They're so far away that there's only 5 clubs that they can go to. And once they're out of those clubs, they're kind of stuck where they are. And I think that's what we're seeing with Neymar. That's why there's a lot of room to go to Saudi Arabia, because there's a gap. And I think that they understand that.
Well, it's going to be tough, to actually to see this unfold. We don't know what's going to happen with Mbappe, but clearly he's the best player in the world, in my opinion. So somebody's going to have, if he's going to find a club, and
he will end up at Real Madrid eventually.
I know he will. But at the end of the day, even if something catastrophic happens, he's going to find a club. But Neymar is the situation that we.
I still in my head, I don't know why I think this. I still think in my head, one of these Premier League teams should just be like,
I think
we're gonna do it. Like, why isn't Man United just being like, what? Let's do it.
Lie.
You know what I mean?
I would in a heartart take Neymar, because
in a heart, and he would go, right. Like, you can convince Mbappe and be like, yo, this is you talking about Real Madrid. United is Real Madrid. They were right there next to each other.
Now, as far as like, clubs to attract Neymar, I mean, top, because it will be hard for the ego to go to Tottenham, to go to Everton, to go. Well,
no, I understand it, but I'm just saying, like,
but I'm saying United, United, as far as career wise, could even be a step up. So, but I mean, we'll see how that.
It would goes. It would be huge. Mbappe at United would be massive. I mean, just.
Oh yeah. But
I don't think people don't understand. Like, United is gigantic.
Yeah, no, it is.
The fact that they're still good after 10 years of sucking.
It is good. I mean, they live off the name for really a long time, and sure enough, I mean, it certainly you know,
It's the biggest club in the world, right there with Real and Barca. Honestly,
it's deserved. It's deserved.
it's
Now,
a fact.
yeah. So next subject, because we'll see what happens with this, but I see it on my screen, and Sadio Mane is in talks over to go to Saudi. We have that on the website, of course, really in depth into what's happening. And now I don't understand how a player like this. I get that. I mean, it could be that he went to Bundesliga, so it's a different league and he needs to adapt. But the drama behind this, it almost seems like they don't want him, like they regret, because you buy a player, a top player, after winning a Champions League, and I'm surely they bought him because they thought he can really help us, not to sell him the following season. So something has got to be going on,
Well, I think if you follow along with the Bayern narrative, it's very much a socios run club. It's very much in the mold of Real Madrid.
Yeah.
Yep. And it's very political. It is so one of the things I learned just from listening to other people in other podcasts in other countries is people don't quite understand what Bayern is in Germany. Essentially,
it's the biggest thing ever.
The Bundesliga, it is league. Like everything that happens in Bayern, they cover it from Munich all the way to freaking Danzig and the other side. Like it is the entire league. All the news is focused on Bayern.
I mean, I'll be honest with you. Just before you continue. Bayern Munich is in the same level as Manchester United, Real Madrid, Barcelona. What you just named. Yeah. I mean, that's the top.
Well,
ever.
not in world football. I don't think that.
What?
Just hear me out.
No, I'm not going to hear you out if you're going to say
that. Well, we're here in the U.S. How big is Bayern in the U.S. really?
It's pretty big. Don't do it. It's pretty big, man.
How big is Bayern in China? How big is Bayern in Singapore? They're not quite there with those clubs. How big is Bayern in South America? Right? You can't roll into Mexico.
It's big.
Okay.
It's big.
Okay.
I mean, we can debate that, but
they're there. They're thereabouts, but they're not. They can't carry the whole league, right? Like Bayern, the Bundesliga ratings in the U.S. are terrible, right? They were on Fox. They've been kicked around all over the place. That's all I'm saying. It's just like media-wise, it's a very insular. It's a very insular league that's very focused on itself, right? Yeah. First, and their fans are very focused on. No, the games are all on at 10 o'clock in Germany. We're not changing the times. No, on Friday they don't have Monday Night Football because people protest. So they don't give you enough slots to sort of push the whole league because they're very focused on their own country. Anyway, so I think the thing with Mane is he was very much a Nagelsmann signing, and Nagelsmann had this vision of a strikerless team. He wanted to get rid of Lewandowski. He wanted it to be Sané, Mane, and Gnabry, this sort of free-flowing, interchangeable front three where, we're going to find these 40 goals that were missing from Lewandowski. But it simply didn't work. And I think when Nagelsmann sort of had his troubles and, the infrastructure of Samizic and Oliver Kahn, who were the sporting director and CEO of Bayern, both backing him, both bringing in players that Nagelsmann wanted, now that they've cleaned house after that, they've gotten Tuchel, they've gotten all these guys, and now Mane's there, and he doesn't quite fit with what they want to do. Maybe Tuchel has beef with him.
Man,
maybe Tuchel doesn't quite want to use him the right way. I don't know the answer. They want to get Harry Kane, right? But he's a great player. Don't get me wrong. I've seen him in Liverpool. He hurt my soul. I hate Sadio Mane with every ounce of my being.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can see
why. You can see why he needs to go, right? Like it's a different manager. Everything's broken. Oh, I'm out. Right?
But man, I just listen to me though. Like, if you tell me that I didn't bring in, I don't know. Let me just think of a player that's kind of that caliber. Maybe Salah. Kind of there, and I didn't bring him to my team. But man, he's a good player. I'm going to try to. It's not like he is an old player or an old position that doesn't get played anymore. He still could give you really. I mean, if you're trying to build a team around,
he should in the Bundesliga he should be 20-10, 15-10, easy, easy. That's the highest pace, highest scoring league, and he's a player, right? If ask any Liverpool, why their defense was terrible. It's because Mane was missing one of the narratives. Hey, he's our press trigger. He's our guy who goes forward. He and Bobby Firmino, they would let Salah go do his thing and hang out wide while they hunted like mad dogs to get the ball off people so they could score goals. But I think with Mane, it's one of those things. Like if you think about certain managers having ways they want to play and they discard players, like think about how many players that Chelsea had that Mourinho just got rid of, right? Salah, KDB, nope, you can't play here. You're not good enough, because he wanted big, physical, get stuck in midfielders. He wanted Nastasa Matic. Oh no, that's not his name. I got the wrong name. It doesn't matter. He wanted that central midfielder he always had that he takes with him everywhere. I can't even remember his name. I think it's Matic.
Nemanja Matic.
To play. Yeah, that's the one. I'm thinking of some other guy. I'm thinking of Nastasic, who played for City at center back. Matic is the guy I'm thinking of.
Not everything is about City.
So he'd bring Matic everywhere and sort of do that. So managers do this. It happens all the time. So I can see Mane getting frustrated. I can see him wanting to be, Saudi Arabia is a Muslim country. He's a very Muslim player. He may like the idea of being on the African continent. He's very socially conscious about spending his money in his home country of Senegal. He'll be closer. He'll be more involved with that. So maybe there's some of that going on. Maybe he just the money. It could be the money. Could be the money. Shockingly.
The thing that's interesting here, because we don't discuss it enough, I think, is part of one of the reasons as of this Saudi phenomenon that we're seeing right now is that they're pretty smart, man, because they're starting with stars that have some kind of tie with Africa. And I mean, Benzema, Benzema's French. Well, he's
Algerian.
His background is from that continent. And he's very much a Muslim and everything else. So and then you got a bunch of African players, and you got Sané, which has so people we're in this world, and we're like, nah, well, why would they want to go? They need to come to MLS. Right. No, Messi comes to the MLS because he's closer to home, 5 hours from Argentina, and it's Miami, where Kun Agüero, one of his best friends, lives, and everybody, so that's the same mindset that these players. It's also like
45% Spanish speaking. It's almost a Spanish city. So if you want to, you can live in Miami and not speak English.
Even Cristiano Ronaldo was maybe you can say that it was a little bit shocking, but even then he's European. He's closer to where he's at now. So and that's what people don't understand. When I'm from what I can think. You know what I mean?
I think with Cristiano, he's focused on money, but I think that there's another level.
Oh, of course, money.
I think Cristiano. No, but Cristiano sees the money as something else. He has a goal. He wants to be a multi-billionaire. And whatever the goals are within the range of his football career, he's going to use it to be a $5 billion person. Like he has plans, right? He's bigger than most leagues as an individual. And I think he saw the Saudis as a business operation where he can have investors where he does after football. Like I can see, I see Cristiano as going like, this is the next step. This is where the money is. This is where my next group of investors is going to come from. And I'm going to take over Europe as a business person. Like he sees himself as like Beckham opened the door for business, but he was never the player we were. But I'm the greatest player of all time. I'm also going to be the greatest postseason business person of all time. Like he's trying to take Jordan and Messi and Beckham and mix them all together as a focal point of Cristiano. I really believe that about him. He's very driven, like more driven than any player ever in the history of sport, I'd say. I mean, Messi, I think, is driven as well, but in a much more temped down fashion. But I think Cristiano's is much more overt.
And let's be honest,
testosterone driven, ego driven. Like I'm gonna do this.
Let's be honest. The effect that Cristiano has had on Saudi's league, it makes a difference. It's a big deal. They hit the jackpot because everybody else is just following. Yeah. And if like some people can say the best or one of the best players ever joins. I mean, why wouldn't
he's up there? You know what I mean? He's definitely the most famous player ever. Period.
Yeah.
after Pelé.
Marketable,
Yeah.
definitely there. So, all right. Well,
Well, I mean, by the way, I have one thing to say that's very cynical, but also true. I'm pretty sure Cristiano cannot come to the U.S. because he has those charges. That's another. He's probably like, you know what, U.S. Yeah, I don't want
he
to.
settled that, didn't he? I mean, he settled that.
I know, but it's still like, you know what? I don't want to. Let's just. I'm not going there.
Yeah.
Let me
All
just
right. Well,
leave that
the next thing on the menu is none other than Harry Kane rejected. Well, first of all, let's give this a try. Oh, this thing didn't make a sound, man. It's supposed to make a sound. It's supposed to say breaking news. I don't know if you can see it, but and well, he's really rejected every single offer that Tottenham has to offer. He's apparently going to Bayern Munich. So Sadio Mane, man, you might not want to leave. You might get a top tier striker. And you said that he wouldn't leave because he's got a pregnant wife and all that, but acting like Germany, like Munich is a third world city, man. He's going to be living in a mansion, so I think he'll be fine.
Yeah. Listen, it was just a theory, right? Like, I still think.
And you wanted a swap. Mane.
Yeah, I would still do that. I would send Mane and money. Absolutely. Send Mane. I'll take Mane and send Kane. What I'm trying to drive at with Kane is he doesn't have the killer thing, right? If he was a killer and he was like, I'm leaving, he would not be at practice. He would not be saying, I'm not signing this. He would be like, I'm leaving and I'm blowing up Tottenham on the way out. Because that's how you have to deal with Daniel leaving, right? You've got to be nasty. You've got to burn bridges. You got to be like, I'm freaking leaving. Enough with this bullshit. I gave you my whole life. I gave you almost 250 goals.
He should have been playing for a bigger club. Shit. He should have been playing for a bigger club. Already.
Whatever he signed, like I said last time, he signed that 6-year deal. He fucked up. That's on him. He should have a real agent, not his brother and his dad. He should have been with Mendes. He should have been with whoever the other great other guys who died. I can't remember his name. But the reason why he's where he is because he's made poor business decisions. And I'm all for player power. If you blow it up, if you mess up, there are ways out of it. You've got to be a killer. He's a killer in front of goal. He's a killer in a lot of ways about playing. But if you want to go somewhere, you make it happen. You hold your breath. You stomp your feet. You don't show up. You start leaking to the press about people's mothers. You do whatever it takes. And I don't think he has that in him. And I think that's really been his issue.
Now,
and they'll turn on him. You got to be ready for the English press to destroy you because they will.
Let's give this a try again.
Top Football Club breaking news.
There we go. It works. You just have to turn the audio.
Wow.
So the breaking news is that Kane has entered his final year, of course. Now, Spurs will not ever sell him for less than £100 million, and are hoping to tie him down to a new agreement that would increase his £300,000 per week wages. I mean, but he doesn't want it. He doesn't care, man. He doesn't care. He wants to leave, and he deserves it. But again, I'm actually, just to finish this off, surprised that not one single English club is even rumored. Because I mean, if I was Chelsea, why not? If I was Arsenal, why not? I mean, Gabriel Jesus is not exactly, hasn't been exactly the best striker for Arsenal. And if I was Manchester United, definitely, why not? City, of course.
This is what I'm saying. Where is United? Where
United?
is United? This is the big issue. He was running for Real Madrid, but with Mbappe coming, it's impossible. And by the way, I think we should, as American fans, some of our fans are around the world, but we deal in America, and I think there's something to be very clear about. And when people say £300,000 a week, okay, that's nothing compared to American sports, right? £300,000 a week is a $15 million salary. Do you know how much Dame Lillard's going to get paid next season? $50 million.
But you gotta understand this, that in the Premier League in Europe, those are a lot of players get paid that. You know,
No, I know. There's a lot of the salaries are sort of more flat.
Is
but
more.
all I'm saying is
So
the big players in the U.S. make way more money than
but
European players. So just to keep that in mind, I just like to bring it up because I'm always like, it doesn't sound like that much.
But no, but I'm
relative
saying,
to American sports.
But maybe because it's in America and Europe is more broad and more players get. But if you actually compare top players, I mean, LeBron James doesn't get paid as much as Cristiano Ronaldo. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's the only one though, because LeBron. Well, they have a salary cap is the first problem.
But now, I mean, how Messi gets paid is going to get paid $55 million aside from Apple and MLS percentages, and on top of that, he's getting the club percentage. So I think that's way more.
No, I understand. I understand the thing, but I think it's funny to listen to when we hear people say,
"Well, you're still a lot of money now." You told me
it's a tremendous amount of money.
Can you
believe but it's
that?
relative to.
Can you believe that though? Right? Can you believe to say $300,000 a week? Oh my gosh!
I'd be happy to be making $300 a week. Here's the thing to remember, and I always side with the players. If the players are getting paid that, what are the owners getting?
Oh,
what is the club making? You know what I mean? Like,
oh, come on, and you know
what I mean?
They buy players.
Manchester United is on sale for $6 billion.
But you know what's even crazy? You know what's even crazy? That Elon Musk could have bought 10 football clubs before buying Twitter, and he decided to buy Twitter. That's insane.
Yeah.
That's insane. He could have bought Arsenal. I
remember reading an article, and it was really funny about the actual business of sport relative to other businesses. All sport business combined is equal to the cardboard box business. Right? It's not really a good business. It doesn't have good margins. It's not good ROI. It's really difficult. It's very expensive, but it's more than its actual business, right? Because of its influence culturally, it's way more valuable than anything that you could ever sort of think about. It's worth more than the actual X's and than the actual dollar amounts, right? You know, Real Madrid, yes, if you bought it, even though you can't buy it, it's probably a $10 billion club. But it's worth way more than $10 billion. The money doesn't matter. It's an institution. It's like saying,
it's
I'm going to buy the U.S.
It's a forever thing.
Right. It's
like if you're a 40-year-old billionaire, kind of like Manchester City, like when Manchester City, the owner, young owner, if you buy per se, well, City at that time didn't have really a marketing or history.
They didn't pay shit. It was $200 million.
So exactly. So what I'm saying is, like, if you were to buy a Real Madrid, if it was on sale, which is hard, impossible.
It can't. It's not, because it's not a public company.
It's not. But I'm saying, if Manchester United per se, which is about there, like, you pay. I mean, if you're a 40-year-old billionaire and you have to expand it to, okay, I'm never going to sell this club, so I'm probably going to live 40 more years. And like, how much am I going to make from now to? I mean, just probably leave it to your kid. I mean, just imagine that. That's, like you said, that's a lot more money than really what you're buying. You know, so I think with this. By the way,
something to give context to everybody who sort of hears about clubs being bought, and just relative to the value of sports franchises. The Washington Commanders, formerly Redskins, sold for $6.08 billion. That's the value of a top flash franchise in the NFL. $6 billion. That's more than what United are asking for.
Yeah. And I do believe that Manchester United will make more money down the line than the Patriots, honestly. I mean,
yeah. Well, I mean, NFL, the NFL prints money, and it's not even worldwide. It's just the U.S., and those teams all make more money than any sports club in the world by a lot. Like the worst team. Like if you bought the Jacksonville Jaguars, it's worth more than half the Premier League easily. That's how much money it makes. Anyway, that's a whole. I love the business of sport. I'm way into that. That's something I'm fascinated by. Okay, so what else do we have, Chris?
So Moises Caicedo, Chelsea has sent a £70 million offer for him, but Brighton says that he's better than Declan Rice, so they should get more than $100 million, more than what our Arsenal paid for Declan Rice is what they should pay for Caicedo. Do you agree that he's better than Declan Rice?
He's younger, right? He's 21, 20. He has not been doing it for as long, and I don't know how much longer he has on his contract. Probably, I'm guessing a year. I don't think that he's better, but that's not the point. The point is he's in the same class, and there are teams with Declan Rice size holes in their rosters, right?
Yeah.
And so you have Caicedo sitting there, who was in January going to go to Arsenal for 70 million. They had it written down. Remember, he made the Instagram post and had to take it down. He thanked the Brighton fans and wrote this whole thing about how he's going to Arsenal, and they didn't go because Brighton was like, not so fast, my friend. And he did come back. To be fair, he missed 1 or 2 games, then came back on side. He's really, really good and really important for how Brighton play. The only thing I fear with Caicedo is he the product of a supremely run club? And when I say that Brighton is the best run club in the Premier League, I am serious. They get more points per dollar spent. They were this close to being in Europe. They got rid of a coach that went to Chelsea, hired another one, and they were better. They never sell players that they don't want to sell. They sold Cucurella for 60 million. He's a clown at Chelsea. When players leave Brighton, they're not as good. Although, to be fair, Trossard did go to Arsenal in the end. They did have that relationship, and he was good for Arsenal. But that would be my pause if I were to make the argument. I'd be like, hey, listen, I'll give you 75. I'll meet you halfway. I'll give you 80, but I'm not giving you any more. You play him for 1 more year. I want to make sure that he can play in the Premier League in a second full season, playing the way he plays, playing the 3,500 minutes that he plays the way that he plays, because he's pretty reckless and he's only done 1 season. So I love him. I hope he stays, because I don't know if you know this, Chris. Brighton is the best team that no one knows about. They're so good that I spent half my season's podcast fawning and falling over and rolling around the ground telling everyone to watch Brighton. They're fucking fantastic. I love them.
Well, I mean, I like to see good players in good teams, man. I understand that Brighton is a good team.
It is a good team. Brighton is good.
I get that, but listen, you make your money and your fame at Chelsea, United, City. For the player, Caicedo is not saying.
I understand. I understand it.
Caicedo. Listen, if it was, I don't know, if it was born in Brighton, then he'd have a chance to stay in. But I don't think Caicedo.
Yeah,
I don't think Caicedo has.
Yeah, he's Ecuadorian, right? Oh, do you have like built-in hate for him because you're Peru?
No. We hate Chileans.
Ecuadorian player. Ah, I see.
Yeah.
Bueno.
It's Peru and Chile.
Okay. So I'm just looking at Caicedo. Caicedo played 34 of the 38 games in the season, only scored 1 goal and 1 assist. That's not what he does. So he's not really that productive yet. Just 20 all of last season, not even 21 yet. Led the team in yellow cards. So he's a bit reckless. Not really a ball carrier.
He needs to get that.
He's still got a lot to do, but he is fantastic. I do like him a lot.
But he got a lot to do. He will keep the pace and control the game in the midfield. He has to learn to play with yellow cards, to play without getting yellow cards at certain moments. He has to have a level of maturity.
I think really his issue is, can he be better in the offensive creation category? So great at moving the ball around, great at tackles, interceptions, blocks, clearances, all ranked there. But how does he do further along when when you're playing in a big team and you've got to make that line breaking pass and you've got to see that run from Saka, or you've got to see that run from I don't even know who's up front for Chelsea, from Modric? Can you get him the ball? And right now he's not there yet. Really, a lot of what he did was do a lot of running from McAllister while McAllister made all the passes. So. McAllister, who went to Liverpool.
Apparently, you don't think he's better than Declan Rice. So
he's not better than Declan Rice, not yet.
So 70 million should be enough then.
It should be, But
Some of these clubs, I know that you think some of these smaller clubs. I know that you think Brighton is
I love them.
the purest club in the world, but a lot of the smaller clubs see a big team and they're like, we gotta suck them dry, and
as they should.
Well, I mean, but £70 million. This dude only played 1 year in Premier League, so. I don't think. I mean, what is where's the ceiling? I mean, to be honest with you, he plays 2 years now. They're going to charge 140. I mean,
I don't know if he takes another step forward.
But then again, Enzo Fernandez, it's
right.
an example.
Yeah,
of that,
but it's different because he's in Portugal and he's on the ball.
Well, Benfica did highway robbery for sure. And Chelsea.
Yeah, but there's not as many bullies. Yeah.
Chelsea was like, rob me. Go ahead. It's fine.
Listen. I appreciate everyone should get their money. I don't.
No, that
it doesn't bother me. It's not my money. Let the players get the money. Let the sales happen. Let it all happen. It doesn't bother me. But I mean, I could see it being at. They'll settle at 180. They'll settle at 85 and call it a day. But it's going to require that, that Chelsea have to be prepared to be like, okay, this is our number. We're not going over it. We're going to play with Conor Gallagher. Thank you.
Yeah,
okay.
they can't get too crazy, They can't get too crazy.
But that would mean that they have to be prepared to play with Conor Gallagher, who I think showed last season that he's not quite up to the level. Does a lot of running.
But you don't have to tell Brighton that. Or else they're going to be like,
no.
Or else Brighton's going to be like, okay, well, you play with
Brighton,
that.
I think Brighton has more than one seller. I think Brighton could turn around and go, United, will you take him for 85? And
Mount,
go, oh, okay, sure.
They already got Mount.
No, they need Caicedo.
Anyways, football news roundup.
Then he can learn from Casemiro, your boy.
Hey, that's true. That's true. But you can't have 2 5s like that. I mean, you can't have two defensive midfielders, or else you're going to be Mourinho team. Anyways, football news roundup. Manchester United signed Andre Onana. That's been a long story. £43 million, and it comes from Inter Milan, of course. Now, De Gea was rumored for Inter Milan, but he said, "Nope, I'm not doing it. I'm not going to be. We're not going to swap and be second, sloppy seconds." Which actually wouldn't be a bad team for him. They just made the finals. I don't get the mentality. I mean, where else are you going to go? Real Madrid doesn't want you no more. And I mean, I know
they have to cut his salary in half.
It doesn't matter. I mean, well, if it's about money, then Saudi has got an open door policy. So and I'm telling you, they would pay him too.
Talk about the sliding doors. That the missed fact machine. He could have been at Real Madrid 5 years ago.
He could have. It could have. Something else happened there. I don't really trust the news. Now, hey, did you see this Joao Felix deal?
That is a nothing burger if I ever saw. I watched the video.
People were like
throwing towels at each other. Come on.
People were like, we're showing it on the screen. People were like, and there's a fight. Joao Felix wants to leave Atletico Madrid, and he does want to leave. He said that he wants to go to
He's been
Barcelona.
Wanting to leave since he got there.
That was his dream. I've never heard of a club or of a player actually saying, it would be a dream to play for Barcelona, and I mean that is unheard of, and is in the same league, and of course, been sort of kind of a rival.
That's what Lukaku at Chelsea, and that's when
he
Tuchel
came.
Was like, peace,
and that's why Pochettino is like his Chelsea career is over. And
you can't do that. Again, the fans will never, ever, ever forgive you for that, ever.
Right. We made a video on TikTok before about Sofiane Amrabat in Manchester United. Oh. They've been interested on the Fiorentina player. He's good. Morocco.
He's really good.
Yeah, Morocco player. And but again, this was like a month ago that I put this on TikTok for the tips. And something is going on with Manchester United. I don't think they're salesmen or buymen. I don't know what to call it.
Worst.
I don't understand why they're not making any moves. And maybe they're going to wait until end of August, and all of a sudden you're going to get all these players coming in. But I don't understand.
The reason they can't make moves is because they're for sale. Think about trying to close on your house. You can't open bank accounts. Your credit gets checked. You're in escrow. It's the same shit, right? It's just a giant thing. They can't make moves.
It probably was the wrong time to do this then.
Well, they should have made the sale 3 months ago.
Well, they could have.
That's why United are the worst run club. They have to get the Glazers out. Just have to.
Yeah.
Oh, God, they're so terrible. I have one thing.
Go ahead.
Our friend, Mr. Bruno Fernandes, has been named captain of Manchester United.
Hey, I said that. I said he could have been. No, you didn't say that. You didn't say him. See, we should have written that stuff down, man.
No.
Your predictions
my predictions are terrible. That's fine. I thought that his complaining and rolling around on the ground might not be what you want from your Manchester United captain.
The only reason why Casemiro, it's got to be because of the English, because I don't know.
Fair enough. But I mean, he does. I do think Bruno does represent himself well. He does come up to the press and talk after games. He does talk to teammates. You do see him demonstrating on the field, trying to bring the team together. He's just got to get rid of that complaining thing, because it really can get United discombobulated. It's not a coincidence that when things go down for United, they get blown out because they lose their heads. And I think that's part of what Bruno's got to control within his group, right? They should never lose to freaking Liverpool 7-0 ever again. Ever.
You're right. Last but not least, Moussa Diaby opts to sign for Aston Villa instead of Saudi. So that's the first one. First one I've heard that chooses not to go to Saudi League. Saudi League's got the power, man. They have the power. So, all right. Well,
it is. Well, we have plenty of time to talk about it.
Plenty of time, man. Plenty of time. Thank you so much for listening or watching the show tonight. Brought to you by topfcnews.com and Top Football Club on YouTube. You can also listen or watch these on demand, either on the website or all your favorite listening platforms. Again, topfcnews.com. Laurent Cortine, Chris Rodriguez. We'll see you guys next time.